My birthday celebration back home in Guatemala usually starts at 5:30 a.m. and I'm woken up with live music and firecrackers, and usually my friends and family pay for almost everything. In Germany, things work a little bit different, or I should say opposite to that. In this video, we will explore the birthday culture of Germany, what is the etiquette, and who pays. Hey, my name is Jen and I'm from Guatemala.
And mine is Yvonne and I'm German.
And together we're from simplegermany.com, where we create English content to empower internationals to settle into life in Germany more smoothly. The very first question that I have is, when can you say the magic word happy birthday?
You can wish a happy birthday on the birthday of a person or thereafter. Never before.
If it's 11:55 p.m.
Nope.
If it's 12:01 a.m.
Yes.
This is actually a really big thing. And it's because Germans tend to believe that if you say happy birthday beforehand, it's kind of celebrating something that hasn't happened.
Which is not kind of, it is celebrating something that hasn't happened.
We talk about this in other videos, but my birthday is very close to Christmas. And usually when I was a kid, at least, I would celebrate it before because everyone would be on holidays during Christmas times. But in Germany, I always have to celebrate it afterwards.
Or on the day.
But as I said, most people are away on their Christmas holidays already. And how do you wish happy birthday in Germany?
So you actually also say happy birthday, but you can also use the German version and say alles Gute zum Geburtstag, or the short version alles Gute.
Or na du alte Socke, which is equivalent like hey you old sock. Literally, that's how people call old bag. I think is a direct English translation of old sock.
And if you would like to say happy belated birthday, you would say alles Gute nachträglich.
Sounds very long. And interestingly enough, of course, you can also sing happy birthday. And of course, you can sing happy birthday, the typical happy birthday song. And of course, there's the German version, which is zum Geburtstag viel Glück. We will actually sing the song at the end of the video, so stick around if you want to listen to us butcher that song. And if you're a kid, there's specific songs, right?
Yes, for kids there's of course a lot more songs that are usually sung, and I would say pretty much all of them, not just one. One of them is Hoch soll sie oder er leben, like the person, like he or she. In that case, and usually also you then lift the child up, the birthday child sits on a chair and you lift it up 3 times, like the group around you that's singing. There's also wie schön, dass du geboren bist, like how nice that it is that you're born, how beautiful it is you're born.
Oh, that's cute.
There's quite a lot.
Yeah, I think there's variations of songs all over the world. In Spanish, for example, there's Las Mañanitas. It's a very Latin American song. I would say Latin America, maybe, I don't know if all Latin America, but at least Mexico, Guatemala, I know we for sure sing it. And that's also a very cute song. But that's a very long song, I would say. Is it normal to send birthday cards to your friends for their birthday?
I would say no more, no. I would say back in the day it was a tradition and it was typical. I'd say my parents still used to send birthday cards to their friends, like postal mail cards. But nowadays with modern technology and WhatsApp and voice messages, we don't do it.
Yeah, I know.
And so I don't think it's a thing still.
I think when it's like something super special, we send a video kind of message, if not a WhatsApp happy birthday message.
I do, however, have to say that I personally am sad that the art of calling and not sending a video or a voice message is dying out.
So when do you celebrate? We know we're not supposed to celebrate our birthdays before our birthday, but can we celebrate into our birthday?
Okay, so first of all, you only celebrate if you want to.
Oh, okay.
Like usually no one will put a party on to you if you don't want to. And then, yes, you can celebrate into your birthday. That's actually the very German thing of reinfeiern.
Oh.
And that typically happens, let's say, if your birthday is on a Sunday and you do want to celebrate it, you can invite people on a Saturday evening. And then it's just a regular house party and it will turn into a birthday party at midnight. And only then will you actually say happy birthday and also give the gifts and all that shenanigans.
So to clarify, it doesn't always have to be a house party. It can also be at a pub or a restaurant if it's open that late, but also can be at a bar. And it's of course expected for the guests to stay until midnight.
Yes,
at least
definitely.
To wish happy birthday, right? And so if it's like from Friday to Saturday, is not so common?
No, because then you would just do the party on a Saturday.
And you can celebrate it.
So it's pretty much, because if it's a party, you are usually tired the next day and you wouldn't want to do it on a Sunday when everyone has to work again on Monday. So that's the reason why. But to answer your question, you only celebrate on your day, into your day, or afterwards.
So in my case, I once had a Sylvester, New Year's party for my birthday. So New Year's / birthday party, and I had to send that invitation in February of that same year.
But that is just because it was New Year's. It has nothing to do with birthday. Really.
Anyways, what I wanted to get to is that if you're going to celebrate your birthday, you should invite your German friends maybe a month ahead or a few for them to schedule it in their calendars.
No.
Not as spontaneous as other cultures, I would say.
Yeah.
So culturally speaking, do Germans celebrate their birthdays every year?
I would say as a child, it's quite likely. Yeah. So if you're, like from 1 to let's say 12, 13-ish, I would say it's quite common to celebrate it every year. Then it maybe pauses for a couple of years until you're 16, because that's like the legal drinking age for beer and wine. And usually you want to, have a little party around that. And then of course the next one is the 18th, like the big day when you are becoming an adult pretty much. And then afterwards, it's really up to you. What is quite typical in Germany is that you would celebrate your round birthdays. So let's say 30, 40, 50, and so on. And also quite popular are the so-called Schnapszahlen. So whenever you hit the 33, 44, 55, 66. But again, no one makes you celebrate if you don't want to.
Oh. So now, where do you usually celebrate birthday parties? And most importantly, who pays for this whole thing?
That depends on how official you want to make it, right? You could, for example, just ask your friends, hey, do you want to, meet for a drink in a bar after work if it's like during a work day? And there you would typically be expected to maybe pay the first round. Mm-hmm. It's very important that you announce it, that you say you only pay for the first round, because otherwise I would expect that you pay for everything. Maybe, yeah. And you can simply say, die erste Runde geht auf mich.
The first round is on me.
Exactly, yeah. And otherwise, you can, of course, always have a house party. It's quite popular in Germany. And you can, of course, also make it a very official big party, which would typically be like for 30, 40, or 50. Like the bigger ones when you're also more of an adult. When you're more of an adult, when you maybe have a bit more budget, when it's more formal in a way. And then you can also rent external locations and have catering, have a DJ. There's no limit. It's up to you how you would like to do it. And it's also not a must, but that's what can happen and you might get invited to.
So then if I understand correctly, if I invite people to my home party, I expect, people expect me to pay for everything, right?
Yes, unless it's not otherwise specified. You bring a gift and you get food and drinks.
Okay. So what if you have kids and you want to also celebrate their birthday in Germany? So to be honest, we had to reach out to a very, very close Mexican friend of mine who has kids and she celebrates their birthdays. And her insight is that usually the parents pay for an activity if that is what you're going for. Let's say mini golf or anything like this. You invite the kids and then it's the parents who pay for the entrance of these kids. And sometimes in these venues there is food or little snacks that the kids have. And at the end of it, the kids usually get like a little, in Spanish we call it a surprise bag, which is like a souvenir bag where you have extra toys or little candy as a remembrance or like a little souvenir from the birthday party that you went to. And very specific, sorry to interrupt you, is that here in parties, she compares the parties from Germany to the ones in Mexico, is that here is from 3 to 6, very punctual, 3 hours. Versus in Mexico is like starting at 3. And then it just keeps on going as long as it can go. I think
your parents need to know when to pick up the kids, right?
That is true. That is very true. However, I would say it's very specific if you go to an event location where you need to rent the place for a certain amount of time. It makes sense to like nail it between 3 and 8 maybe. But here it tends to be very specific. Also 3 hours.
Yeah, I was just going to say you don't have to go to an external event location, which can become quite pricey depending on how many friends your child wants to invite, right? Yeah. You can also do a house party. And then it's quite common to play games. There's abundance of German kid games that is actually, quite entertaining. Also, a scavenger hunt, Schnitzeljagd in German is very popular if you have a garden, or you can even do it throughout the city. So it really depends on the creativity level that you want to go for. And there, again, it makes sense to give an end date because the parents usually, if it's like if it's a birthday that's beyond 4 or 5, the parents of the other children don't stay for it. So it's important to have an end time so they know also arrange the day when to pick up the kids.
It makes sense. I think also maybe in Mexico the difference is that the parents would stay for the party and it's an open-end party just for the kids and the adults as well. Could be.
Yeah. Now, when it comes to this big topic that at least Jen is making a big topic out of it, like who pays, because apparently it's so different in Germany. There is an exception when it comes to family or relationships. So, for example, when it's Jen's birthday, I would never expect her to bake her own cake and invite me. On the contrary.
I couldn't, even if I wanted to.
On the contrary, then it would be my task for that day, my job, or just because I like to pamper her. And that's usually, I would say, quite common that, you hope to be a little bit pampered by your partner, invited, surprised, I don't know, with flowers, a cake, or a nice dinner, or whatsoever. So in that setting, same goes for parents. When maybe you have children that they surprise you with like the breakfast being ready when you wake up. We would love to do that for our parents. Or simple things like that. So in the family relationship setting, it's reverse. It's more the Latino way.
That is true, yes. And I would say you make a very delicious cheesecake for me every year, and I absolutely love it. I've tried to bake cakes for Yvonne, doesn't work. Once I thought I had a vanilla cake prepared, I couldn't even cut it. It was like I could throw it and it could break the window. I'm not a good baker in general. What you mentioned is interesting, this big deal that who pays. Let's just give you an example. As I remember in my time from Guatemala, I mean, mind you, it's also been 12 years by now, but let's say we go out for dinner for my birthday and I invite friends to go out for dinner. The expectation is actually everyone pays for their own food and we're just hanging out. But what tends to happen is that the friends then say, you know what, Jen, you don't pay, we divide your check amongst all of us and we all pay for you. That's a super common practice. And at no point do they expect actually me to pay for anything for them. That's what I mean. It's like so different because here's the other way around in a way, right? And I have never actually been at a table where the Germans or the family, or not the family, but the friends say, let us all cover your bill and you enjoy your meal, It doesn't necessarily, it's not that common, at least in my experience.
I agree.
So now asking you, can you please tell us what country do you come from and also how are birthdays handled there? I would be curious to also know other traditions and whether this is so unique to Germany or is it like a Europe thing or I'm not so sure. But please let us know in the comments below. Now, another question is, what kind of gifts do you give if you are invited? Well, first of all, do you need to give gifts?
Yes, so if you are invited, this goes a little bit back to this paying topic. The example you just gave, do you also expect a gift from your friends in that scenario?
Sometimes they bring a gift, plus they all pay. Because again, if you divide the bill of one person amongst, let's say, 20 people, it's really little what you're paying at the end.
Yeah, of course.
Right?
Okay, so in Germany, if you get invited and officially invited to a birthday party, yes, you would bring a gift. However, not just any gift. It should be something appropriate that matches, let's say, the hobbies or interests of that person. We don't really like kitschy, not useful gifts per se. However, sometimes also it's quite common that the host of the birthday person in the invitation expresses, gives a little hint at what they would like to have. For example, we had the case that, or also you did it, for your birthday you were saving up for your Apple Watch and you let everyone know that this is what you would like to gift yourself and you would be happy for contributions. Pretty much asking for money as a gift, which makes it very easy for the people because they don't have to think about it. But if money is not mentioned, it's not that nice to gift money for a birthday. Then you should really put the effort in and think of something appropriate.
Yes, and if you're actually going to give money, you should know that there's a thing in Germany where you just don't give here, let's say 20 euros or 50 euros. You don't put it in an envelope and just give it. Usually there's a very cute thing that Germans do, and it's that they actually fold the money in specific things. I think I remember for the Apple Watch, someone actually created some sort of watch and put like the money in it. There were very creative ideas on how to give money, kind of like saying like, putting more of an effort and not just handing the money to you. If you actually YouTube like folding money Germany or folding money, you find tons of YouTube videos with tons of ideas on how to do it. Even on Etsy, there are things that they sell that you just put the money there and it looks cool. Like a world map or a car that just got married stuff. Well, that's a different topic, but things like that, yeah.
There might also be the case that, for example, what you mentioned earlier, the invitation says, please no gifts, but instead contribute with food or bring your own drinks. And that is the common example of swapping a gift for food or drinks that you bring yourself.
Yes, I would say if you leave an open question, like if you want to have a house party and you want others to bring food as well, and you don't specify no gifts, Some might take it that, okay, it depends on how much I spend kind of to prepare the food, whether I add a gift or not. For example, if it's some very delicious chicken wings that someone spent maybe 40 euros in preparing, they're most likely not going to bring a gift. But if it's a simple and delicious and maybe very healthy dessert that they spend maybe 10 euros on it, then they might add a little gift to it. Just so you know that by asking people to bring food, that's kind of indicating that's your entrance to the birthday party, so to speak. Another interesting point about gifts and where it differentiates from my culture in Guatemala is that mariachis are a thing that you gift, which is a band that arrives to your house very early in the morning, very loud because they have trumpets and guitars, and sometimes they don't have drums, but it's a marching band kind of thing style. They wake you up at 5:30 in the morning is the custom. First of all, they burn firecrackers in front of your house to wake you up, and then the music starts playing. And that is so, I love that tradition so much. It's so awesome. And you have music for like an hour, and you go out, and usually your friends are there, and then you very early in the morning celebrate. Sometimes the neighbors might come out and also wish you happy birthday. I think it's very cool.
I was just gonna say, I mean, when I heard that the first time, I'm like, at 5:30 a.m., are you nuts? First of all, for your sake, I mean, don't you want to sleep in into your birthday? In Germany, it's actually quite common that you, if it's a working day, you take the day off and kind of like sleep in and just relax. 5:30, but also the poor neighbors. So we actually spent one time Jen's birthday in Guatemala, and of course I had to get mariachis. So with a friend I coordinated that they would be able to, we didn't go to a hotel specifically because I don't think that's appropriate. So we had like an apartment and coordinated that they would come. I was so nervous and you know, kind of like anxious, would it work out? And then suddenly in my sleep, I hear the trumpet, I hear the music, I hear the pa 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 pa, and it was I was shaking out of excitement and joy, and it was so beautiful.
Yeah, it was really cool. And we had, I would say that birthday in Guatemala, I keep it in my heart so close because it was a very amazing birthday. Oh, I want to cry again because it was really a very, very, very special day. Anyway, so let's talk about work because you just mentioned people take days off work or that day. So what is the appropriate behavior at work when it's your birthday?
Yes, and that I think is the one that you will confront the most because that is your environment if you're working in Germany. The same goes as with the inviting topic, that on your birthday, even if you take your birthday off and you come to the office the next day, you are not expected, but it's a custom that you bring food for your colleagues. That could be a cake, and mind you, a homemade cake. It's not that typical that Germans buy cake for that
Event or for
event.
that
Thank
thing,
you.
yeah.
But it doesn't have to be a cake. It could also be muffins. It could also be, I've experienced that someone actually like prepared an entire breakfast buffet. So it depends again on how all in you want to go, how appreciative you are of your colleagues. So that's kind of like the expectations. But only if you also want to make a big deal out of your birthday. If you want no one to know about your birthday, you don't care if people wish you happy birthday, you don't have to do anything.
So I'm an in-between because I like my birthday and I like people wishing me happy birthday, of course, but I don't want to be the one pushing that, you know, like, oh, it's my birthday, you know what I mean?
But it's a custom.
I know. So once I brought donuts to this media agency that I worked for because it was my birthday, and actually it was, again, very close to Christmas, so the office was almost all empty. But the ones that were there, they saw the donuts and they just thought, oh, someone brought donuts, right? Because it's not an immediate connection that you say, whose birthday is it? It's more like, someone cool brought donuts. And no one wished me happy birthday. So, and I felt super awkward.
Yeah, but then again, it also depends on what relationship you have with those colleagues, right? So I would say that makes most sense if you actually interact with your colleagues.
But I interacted with my colleagues.
Yeah, but on a more friendly, deeper level. I mean, not deeper, that's not the right word, but if it's more than just a coworker.
You mentioned the other day when I mentioned this that it's ideal that you put the donuts and then a little sign maybe that says, hey, enjoy because it was my birthday yesterday. And then that also gives the indication, it was Jan's birthday.
For example.
I still feel weird if I would need to do that.
It depends a little bit on the setting and, like I said, the interaction with your colleague, the culture, right? If it's a very warm culture and you also see it happening beforehand, like if you see other people bring stuff for their birthdays, could be an indication, if I want to, I can do it too. If you never see it happening, maybe you don't do it because it would be awkward.
Yeah. to clarify, people brought things for the birthdays all the time. So no matter what you say, it was still a very awkward situation for me. However, additional to that, if you have really cool colleagues that, they take care of each other and whatnot, it's also very common that someone organizes, let's say, oh, it's Yvonne's birthday, let's gather some money and buy a present for her. And then they go around asking for maybe 5, 10 euros. It really depends.
2, 3.
2, 3. It really depends on the colleagues. I remember it was like 5 in the other company. Doesn't matter.
So it's quite common in that scenario that it's an envelope with a birthday card in it, and on the front it says the name and birthday and the date, so you kind of know when it has to return back to the person that initiated it. And then it just goes around the different offices, the different people, the different teams. And that happens my company wasn't even that big, but that happens frequently. And if every time you give 5 to 10 euros, you'll be poor. I'm sorry, that's too much. So
depends on how many.
So the rule that we had, for me, if I knew the person, if I interacted with the person, I gave like 2 to 3 euros. If I never interact with the person, I ignore it. And if it's a direct team member, then you talk more with the team, and it's like 5 to 10 euro, depending also on your salary, I would say, and the budget. And then it's also expected that when it's your birthday and your team, you kind of like get that in return.
Oh, okay. That's interesting. Another interesting thing is that sometimes, again, depending on your teammates, is that your desk might or might not be decorated with balloons or even donuts or whatnot. That highly depends on the environment, I would say.
Yeah, I agree.
Now, if you want to celebrate your birthday at home and do a massive home party, you should be aware that you cannot just do your party and let it last until 2 a.m. There are certain rules that you need to abide to be a good neighbor. So make sure to check the video that's here, which is talking about how to be a good neighbor in Germany. Until next time, cheers! And of course, there's the German version, which is... Zum Geburtstag viel Glück, zum Geburtstag viel Glück, zum Geburtstag alles Gute, zum Geburtstag viel Glück.